From that space, your basically your program interface, that is your program interface being, let's take for example the scanf and your what do you say, your getcat, they basically take that data from there. So the place where your data is being kept, right, through the keyboard before it is being transported to your application. So there is a middle level layer. So there is an application. So what is the application? Application is a program which you're running. After compilation, you're running. So that is an application part. So, and there is an operating system. The application is running on the operating system. So the operating system can be Windows, operating system can be Linux, the operating system can be Ubuntu, right? The operating system directly interacts with the hardware. What is the hardware? Your keyboard, your mouse, then your printer. So these are your hardwares. So whenever there is some data interaction between your hardware and your application, then it goes through the middle layer. So what is the middle layer? That is the operating system. The operating system allocates some space in the memory, saying that, okay, if you want to basically, if there is any hardware device, any data which is going to come, it should, you have to basically keep your data in this space, in the specified space which I'm giving it to you, and all the applications will basically access that space from the data, for the data. So that space is basically what you say as the buffer stage. So that is the input buffer. For the output devices, that is output buffer. And that is where your standard input and standard output comes from. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Any other question? Okay, let's.
Sir, while inputting the character, sometimes it skips the statement.
Okay.
And yeah, there we
That is
have to
only for
use
one or
a
two. What happens is that.
So why it is happening for character input only?
Yeah. It is not only, it will not only happen for character, it will even happen for integer also. Because at the end of the day, everything is basically a ASCII code which is being pressed through your everything is basically an ASCII code, which is, but it's basically a simple code, which is a numeric digit. Whenever you press any data from your keyboard, it's what is happening. It's basically a signal is being generated, which is being kept in the, is the signal form. That signal form is always in the form of is in the form of an integer, and even in any combination of keys also. Okay, now what happens is that you are writing something and you're giving an input, you're giving an enter, right? Now whenever there is an enter, your application says, okay, my input has been coming in, but that data, where is the data being kept? That data is being kept in the buffer. That enter is also being considered. So what happens is that it reads that character except for the enter, and when the next step comes in, it reads that enter. So there are two-step process. One, it reads the character, string of characters, and then the next part, it basically reads the enter part. So that is why there is a skipping part, right? So that is where that is something for somewhere. If you do not want any skips, if there are some skips, what we do is basically we flush out the input buffer. So that is, there is something called a command over there. You will see that fflush. I am not going to tell you. You can actually basically Google it, or you can basically study it. What is the fflush? What does the fflush do?
Yes, sir. I have studied fflush, but then we have to use fflush after every input statement. How we
Not
will
necessary. Not
not
necessary.
necessary, but
It only works
always
for,
happening for character input.
then if for character input only, then you have to give it the fflush only.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Any other question? So today what we are going to do, last day we had got into arrays, right? Arrays and pointers. Did we get into the arrays and pointers? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So today what we're going to do is something like this. We are going to work with characters today, character arrays, and my objective today is basically to only copy two strings from two arrays. Right? That is what we're going to do. So this is a program which I'll be consulting the Richie's book only. So let's start. Let's see. Uh, there are two sorts of basically arrays. There are two sorts of things. That is, all arrays will be basically given in between two quotes, right? So this is hello world. This is what we say to be as a constant character. So array of characters together, which we say to be as a string. A string has got the property that if it is an array, the last character has always to be a slash of 0. So if I actually basically keep it in an array something like this, so the array will be something like this. So if say this is my array, so this is my hello. So my array will look like something like this. Okay, this is a string. A character array will not have this part. So one of the tricks is that if I want to scan a character string array, if I want to scan a string, what I can do is that if I do not know the length of the string, what I can do that I can basically scan it till I do not find this character. Right. But if I know there's a character array only, if it's a character array only, so since this is not there, so for a character array, it is very necessary if I want to pass it as a pointer to a function, then I have to basically send the length of that character array. But if I want to send a string, a pointer to a string, a pointer to a character array, which is actually a string, then you can send the length of the string, or you might not require the length of the string, because since I already know that it is actually a string, I can only scan that array till I do not find this slash 0. Okay. Two problems. Number one, scanf does not, if I want to scan a string array, then I won't be able to access this part. So a string array can only read only till the first space. If I want to scan a string, then I require a new character, a new function that I'll come to later on. Okay. Okay. So let's start off with only a character array which only reads this part only. So I'll take a character, a string which does not have any spaces, and I'll copy it into another string. So this is my objective. So this is my first objective. So I start off with something like this. So hash include the standard library, the standard code. So let's see that what I require. Okay, so I require something like an int main. return success, and I make two arrays. So char let's say input. So let's say let's give her this thing, hash define max buffer. Say I define something like this buffer. So this is something, this buffer is not the same buffer as my operating system gives me. This is some place where I keep all my data, right? So let's take for example 1 tweet, right? So I make something like buffer, and I also have something like output. Right? Now I scanf. So to actually basically take take a string is basically percentage of s, comma. Just so ampersand of input, right? So I just print right now. So I'll just check out, let's see this thing, percentage of s slash n input. So let's see what it looks like. Let's go one at a time. So GCC str star copy. So there is an error. Okay, there is a slight problem over here. Input s. Solve this. Okay, it takes some character pointer, right? So let's say
Sir,
yes.
someone is waiting, sir.
So this, yes, yes,
Sir,
yes.
will it be percentage C?
Huh? Percentage?
Sir, in the
Line number
print
10.
will it be percentage C? Because
No, percentage not be percentage.
yes, sir. Right number, line number 11.
No. If I'm looking for a percentage C, then I have to give it basically a pointer. So I'm not getting into that part yet. Okay. So let's see. Just hold a second, please. This should work actually.
Sir, can you please show the main program?
Which one? Yeah, this is the main program. This is a basic program which I'm starting.
Sir,
Oh, sorry.
sir, can you? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was telling that only.
Scanf was the problem. Sorry. So I give something like this. So if I give hello world, so you can see only hello is being printed. So my space is not being considered, right? So to get space, we'll get to something different. Okay. Now what I require is basically I'm going to copy. So I require a copy something like this. So if I call a function, so it does not return anything, it just copies up, right? So strcpy. Now this will be basically by a not by call by name but by a call by value. Why? The only reason is that the data has to be basically transferred from one array to another array. So not one space to another space. It has to be copied from one space to another space. So if I copy by call by name, what is going to happen is that another copy of output and an input buffer will be called. So it will be another space will be created. So there will be two spaces duplicate for, and it will be copied over there. But once I come out of my strcpy function, what is going to happen is that since the scope of that variable, where the new area which I've copied is not accessible to main, so that thing will become invalid. So what I require to do, I require to forcefully send my data, but I send the area in which from which I want to copy to the and also the address of the location to where I want to copy. Okay, so this I require is basically, so I require a character pointer source to character pointer destination. So this is what I actually require. So technically what I'm actually doing, I'm actually basically passing the address of the source and the destination. So source being from my input buffer, and I'm going to copy it to my output buffer, right? So now if I actually write it, so char pointer source to pointer destination. Now you see I am actually not sending the length of my data, right? So what I'm going to do, while source, so since this is I'm actually basically an array, so let's say int counter, I'm going to give us something like a 0, right? So since my pointer mathematics basically goes something like, it can work, counter is not equal to slash over 0, then what I'm going to do is that dest counter equals to source counter, right? But this is not enough. I require to increase my counter variable also, right? And I'm going to call over here strcpy ampersand of input and ampersand of output, and I'm going to, let's say, destination equals to %s/n output. Wait, so let's see what it does. Sorry, I have to send the first address, not this thing, the location of my first address. Am I doing it right? It's a built-in conflicting type for built-in function. Okay, there is a conflicting type for the built-in function. So let's take, for example, this is, I do something like this. Start copying. The strcpy, there is a function by the name in the start string.h only. Okay. So that's why it's basically there was a warning mismatch. So there was a conflicting types of built-in function. So built-in function because strcpy already exists. So a dot out.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, we
Yes.
did not call it. So why did it show that? Sir, we didn't call that string.h header file. So why did it show that built-in function is conflicting?
Because it's defined in the system only. That is the disadvantage of working with basically Linux. So if you actually basically, it's all defined over there. So it has got a internal memory that you are using something, you are using a same command which already exists. Okay.
Yes, sir, but we have not called it during the program. Means we have not called that string.h header file.
Yeah,
They
but
are-
you can see basically what it is actually. It is actually, if you see, this is a warning. This is not an error. This is a warning. So if, since it's a warning, I could have actually used it. So there would have been no problem with that. So it's not an error. It's a warning. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So destination goes something like this. Okay. So you can see that world part is not being accessed. Okay. So let's decrease by one line. Right. So what happens over here? What happens over here?
So it will take take only ELLO.
It will.
It will means the source will start from 1 only. Means it will start from E, not from H.
Will start from.
hello of E of hello.
Are you sure? Let's see.
Only O. Sir, length হলো তো different string এর।
Where is the length of differences? Length আমার সবকটাই সেম থাকবে। লেন্থ আমার সবকটাই সেম থাকবে। লেন্থ আমার সবকটাই সেম থাকবে। Because my original thing is only hello only. So what is happening over here? Can you tell me? Why is a strange symbol coming in the before hello in the destination? Why is a strange symbol coming?
So for backslash actually that
Are you sure?
means hello world, the spacing for that only the.
Yes, sir. Can I see the code once, sir, where you have written the destination, that one?
Any other thought processes? Any other thought processes?
Sir, can you just show the code once more, please?
The code is over here only, just side of it. See?
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let's do something like this. So you have seen the first output, right? So let's do something like this. Okay, so the first one was something like this. So the remark part is the line number 28. For line number 28, that was the first output, and for the line number 24, this is the second output. So there is no strange symbol over in my for my second one. What is happening? Hello? Okay. Why is it so? Can anybody tell me?
Sir,
Yes.
one question, sir. Means if in case of the character array, the first if we index of the first letter can be 0, 1, anything that we start from.
Come again. Can you just repeat just what you said?
If we take the index of the first character, like for H in this original, in the source one, it will be only 0, or if we start from 1, it will be starting from 1, 2, 3. If we start from 0, it will be 0, 1, 2. Means it will adjust, or it will be only 0.
From 0.
It will be only 0.
Array starts from a 0 counter. Any array starts from the 0 counter. Okay, what is happening? Let's see. For line number 25, what is happening? So source counter plus plus. Okay, destination counter is equal to source counter plus plus. Now let's take for integer counter when my counter is equal to 0. So source counter, it will access that value, right? After that, it will increase the value of counter to 1. Thus, when it's being assigning, so it will actually basically assigning to destination counter plus 1. So this line actually basically converts to destination 1 equals to source 0. Because this is basically this line, this plus plus, if you actually, this is basically a postfix operation. This is not a prefix operation. Postfix operation, what is happening? Once this line, once this RHS has been basically evolved, this RHS will be basically evaluated first. So what is my RHS first? It was a first is basically does the source counter, that is when counter is equal to 0, and then increases the counter is equal to counter plus 1. And when it's being increased, when it has already increased the counter is equal to counter plus 1, that value of counter will be accessed over here. So my postfix operators mean that once it has been evaluated, it's being the access has been this has been, the first operation is being done, and then the postfix operation is being done. Let's see line number 24 what is happening. So source counter, so source 0 is being taken, is being assigned to destination 0, and counter is being increased. So counter is being increased only after, so this line is being evaluated in the sense that first destination counter, then counter is equal to counter plus 1. Okay, so thing is that you have to be very, very careful when you are using all these operators. So postfix operators, prefix operators will have lots of problems. Okay, let's see if I do something like this. What is going to happen? So what is happening over here? What is happening over here right now?
It is starting from first position, means H is not being in source of counter plus plus, means it is starting from first source of 1 starting. So that's why H is,
Yes,
instead of
sir.
H we are getting that question mark.
No, it is keeping destination 0.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
After
H
Keeping
that,
is,
it will
destination 0
increment.
and
Let's say the
starting
next
from
position is
destination
getting
1.
it is starting from E actually. So that's why we are
Yeah.
getting.
What is starting from me?
So initially it was 0, but due to postfix operation, after it will get incremented, and then that line, the 24 number line will be executed when then counter will be equal to 1.
Then counter will become 1. So basically what is happening, my destination counter is being started from my
1.
so my counter becomes 1 right now. So my destination 1 equals to source 1, right? Because in my while statement, what is happening is that my source counter, it is checking to be the same, and that is then, and after that there will be a increase of my counter. Okay, let's see what is going to happen if I do this thing.
Then hello will be only printed.
Now what is happening?
So now in the same line it is getting incremented, so it is showing correctly.
It is starting from 0 only.
Yeah,
Means source
first
of 0.
it's been incremented, and then then that condition is being checked. So this is basically what is the prefix. Did I tell you about the prefix and the postfix operators beforehand in any previous lectures? I believe so. I basically have shown you what is the prefix and because I++.
In the first class, you gave a short intro.
But then with loops also we are working with when we were working with loops, that is a for int I is equal to 0, I less than 10, I++. So what was that? That was basically a postfix operator. Okay, so the difference between a postfix operator and a prefix operator is that for the postfix operator, my operation will be done and then the increment will be done. Right. And if the prefix is that the increment will be done, postfix operation will be done. That is, the operation will be done first. That is increment. If it is a plus counter, so the increment will be done first, and then the operation will be done. So my result is already being evaluated. This is also something like your do while and a while when. For a do while, so my first part is being already done, and then the checking is being done. So it's over here. The postfix is that my first, but it's basically this is for the postfix. So the do while is something like a postfix. So it is being done and then it's being checked. It's being checked and then it's being done. That is being incremented and then it's being done. Okay. Okay, what about this question mark? Now tell me what is this?
The garbage value, which is
to avoid it, what I have to do?
Yes, sir.
To avoid what I have to do?
Sir, garbage value ঠিক আছে কিন্তু বারবার question mark কেন আসছে?
এটা হচ্ছে কোনো garbage value, so it's basically it's an illegible character, a character which cannot be printed on the screen.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so what do I have to do if I want to remove this thing?
So I have to initially
In the previous question,
output to a space or something like that.
What do I do it with?
in the previous question, you were saying.
My question is that why is this, what to avoid this question mark, then what do I have to do?
Then in line number 24, we will give directly DEST minus counter.
No.
Means like we have to initialize it with an initial value. Like for int we sometimes do like c equals to 0. Similarly for the char we have to initialize it with a space.
Exactly. So for int loop is equal to 0, loop less than buffer, loop plus. See, this is basically a postfix operator. So there will be loop, then my loop will start from 1. It will not start from 0. Okay, so input loop equals to 0, output loop equals to 0. Okay. Finding an array, it is always advisable that you actually initialize this array with something. Okay, to avoid these stuffs. So now if I actually do this thing, say let's take for example, if I actually remove this line, which is actually the incorrect one. So I'll not, let's see what happens over here. -n oh, sorry, my mistake. This starts from 0. Lancashire. Shadara. Test. Forceful. Where is the mistake which I am doing over here? What is the mistake which I am doing over here?
Sir,
Yes.
in line number 12, you have written input loop is equal to 0 and output loop is equal to 0.
Yeah, I have
So,
initialized it with all
yes.
spaces, with blanks. Okay, if you want, you can actually basically do it with this thing also. So this is a space. So this is the same thing. So this is a space. Okay. So this works as the same thing. So let's say OTA option, sorry. Not a mistake option. Okay. So you have to initialize with basically a space. Yeah. Okay. Okay, you can work it basically initialization with a space, that you can always do it. Either with a 0 or with a space. The 0 is not working, but with the space it is working. Okay. Any question here?
Sir, then why will it not work with 0?
Maybe it's basically taking, since it is a 0, it's taking the ASCII code of 0 over there. So when it's actually printing it, it's basically printing the ASCII code of equivalent to 0, which is maybe not nothing. So that's why there is a problem with this thing. So you can actually initialize with only with spaces. So with if it is
but
an
later we are taking the input. So why is that case?
Yes, sir.
Input
In
also
that
we are
case,
taking.
yes, sir. After taking the input, the value should
why is
be
it not working? I did not get it myself also, but technically it should work with some other operating system. So what you can do is basically, if it's a character array, what the safe side is basically, if it's a character array, you can basically take it with a you can basically what do you say? You can initialize it with a basically space only. And if it's a string array, or if it's a basically numeric array, like a float or a integer, you can initialize with a 0. Okay. So let's see the length of this function. So for the length of the function, I can basically, I will be
Sir.
yes.
Sir.
Yes.
So in the output, in the second line at the extreme rightmost, there was some garbage value which was printed.
There is no garbage over here. You can see.
So at the second line at the rightmost corner.
Ah, Dada. Let's see again if it actually comes up something like that. Yes, some garbage is coming out, which is not supposed to be there. Let's see. Destination counter. So destination plus plus counter equals to slash of a 0. So I forcefully put a end line over there because you can see this slash of a 0 will not never be basically be added over here. Okay, will not be basically added, money will not be basically printed. So what you can do, what I have done is basically I forcefully, oh sorry, string.h. Let's see if it works. Yeah. You see there are no garbage values anymore. So what I have done is basically at the end of the destination, I have forcefully put a end of a string. So why I have done it? So it will help me to basically print this. It reads till the slash of the 0. So the previous one, since there was no slash of a 0, it was trying to print out all the data over there, which brought in some garbage over here. So this one I'm actually avoiding. This what you can avoid. You can forcefully put a slash of a 0 at the end of the counter. So the last value of the counter will be basically the length of the counter, right? And I have to increase it 1 to actually put the space slash of a 0 over here.
Sir.
Yes.
But my question was like we have initialized that output with space up till buffer, means up till the end of the character array. Then why should it show that garbage value?
Okay, that is a good question. The answer of which I do not know as yet. I'll check it up and then I'll tell you. Okay.
Sure.
The function for finding the length of through a string is, please hold a sec, please. Sorry. Huh. So this is basically str. So output. So let's see. So this is a warning. Okay, it's all right. This is a warning, so this will work. Yeah. So you see there is a difference in the length over here. So strlen is basically the function which actually prints the length of the string, right? Again, I'm saying it actually basically gets the length of the string. It's not a character array, because the difference between a character array and a string is basically the difference of the slash of a zero at the end of the day, right? So this one you can see. So if I actually remove this part, you will see that there will be a huge difference again. You see, there's a huge difference. So the length of the value is basically changing, right? So this line is actually very important, where I'm going to force the system to actually say that. But then the problem is basically due to the 6. So how does the 6 comes? Because of this counter plus plus, right? So this thing, if I partner, so this one will be counter plus plus. Let's see what happens now. Okay. Why is the length?
স্যার ওটা তো একবার তো
ও এটা একবার বেরিয়ে গেছে, এটা হয়ে গেছে, sorry. So this one will be, sorry. So this one will not work. Okay.
স্যার
Yes.
স্যার আমি ইন্টারনেটে সার্চ করলাম যে জিরোটা দিয়ে কেন হচ্ছে,
হ্যাঁ,
তখন ওরা সব বলছে যে আমি ইন্টারনেটে সার্চ করেছিলাম যে জিরো দিয়ে কেন হচ্ছে না ইনিশিয়ালাইজ।
হ্যাঁ,
তো ওরা সব বলছে যে কি বলে না, যদি C99 ভার্সনে যদি আমি একটাকেই যদি ক্যারের মধ্যে ক্যারিয়ারে থাকলে আমি যদি কোনো একটা ভ্যালুকে যদি আমি যদি জিরো দিয়ে ইনিশিয়ালাইজ করি, বাকি সব কটাতে জিরো দিয়ে ইনিশিয়ালাইজ হয়ে যাওয়া উচিত।
হয়ে যাওয়া উচিত, কিন্তু হচ্ছে না।
হ্যাঁ সেটাই
হচ্ছে না, ঠিক আছে। So the safest, one of the safest bet is basically to actually initialize with a space only. That is becomes much better. That becomes much more better. Okay. So any question till here? String copy. Any question over here? So one thing is that basically you can even basically get a new write a new function. So string length, right, which takes in the character pointer, again say string, the function being int length character pointer string, so int counter equals to 0, while string counter is to slash of a 0, then counter plus plus, then I can return this counter value, right? So this thing can also something work like something like this: string g string th. Okay. I can actually basically also just remove this part, giving this thing, and just giving this part, a postfix operator, right? So it checks and then it increments. It checks and then it increments. So it does the same thing. So you can see after this thing, I have given a semicolon over here. The string ends over here. So I have to, if I do not give a semicolon over here, it will be expecting to do something. So I give a semicolon because the expression ends over here only. Okay, the string length and the string copy, this is basically the same thing. So for this string copy, this is basically the a version of strcpy in the strng.h, right? And this is basically what we are looking for. This is a version of strlen in string.h. Any questions till here? Till here, any questions? Hello? Hello?
No, sir. No, sir. No questions.
So there are many other versions, many other things, like the string compares also. You can compare two strings. I'll give that as an assignment. Okay. So let's say till here there is no problem about this. So what this is basically a array of we have gone through basically one single dimension array of arrays, single dimension of arrays of basically integers and floats also. And I have also basically covered this is basically the version of this the arrays of characters, right, referred to as also as strings. So let's say I start off with something new today. I'll just go for the first part. So let's go to the very simple thing. So I'm going into two-dimensional arrays. So how the two-dimensional arrays works and the three-dimensional array works is the same thing. Okay. So let's say I want to basically find okay. So int hash define so hash include stdio.h hash include std h int main return success So I'm going to define two integer arrays. I'm just going to add them. Okay. So this is the basic one. So I take up two integer arrays. So two array 1. So let's say this is a 3 cross 3 array. 3 cross 3 array, and array 2. So since this is an addition, so basically this will be also a same dimension. So a 2-dimensional array will be required something to write like this. 3-dimensional return something like this. AR 3, 4, 5. So this array, this is basically a 3-dimensional array. 3D array. I can have 4 dimension, I can have 10 dimension, how many dimension, that doesn't matter actually. Right. So the thing is that basically this is basically a length of 3 columns. So the first one is basically the number of rows. The second is the number of columns, right? Usually that is how we actually refer to them as. So this is basically this 3-dimension is basically number of rows, number of rows is 3, number of columns is 4, and the depth of basically there is a 5. It's a 5, right? So I just want to do one thing. So I require another array where result being also a 3 cross a 3. So what I will do is basically something like this. So I require 2 loops, right? So for loop 1 is equal to 0. Loop, so let's say basically I'll go with a row. This becomes much more easier. Row is equal to 0. Row less than, so let's take for example, I give something like hash define row 3, hash define call as also 3. So this becomes row, this becomes call, this becomes row, this becomes call, becomes row, this becomes call, right? So this becomes row plus plus. I'll make my life, I'm actually making my life a little bit easier. Okay, so I require another loop to basically go around this thing. So for int call equals to 0, call less than call, right? Please note, since this is a typed strongly typed programming language, this is what we say as a strongly typed programming language. So the capital row and the small row means totally different thing. Call plus plus. Okay, then so scanf. So I require to basically printf enter array 1, row equals to %d, call equals to %d. So row comma so scanf %d comma, this will be an ampersand of er1 row comma call, right? So this can become a repetition. So array 2 n, this becomes 2. So let's say I want to print it. So I want to print this thing. So this the printing part will be coming something different. So printf printing the arrays. Right. So again, I require a loop. So for again, since my this int is basically the scope of this variable int row is only in this loop, so I require again to basically redefine this thing. So if I wanted the scope of this to be totally true, I had to initialize a row int row over here also. So since I have not done it, so let's do something. I'll basically continue with what do you say of initializing the variable again. So row less than row plus plus so for int call equals to 0, call less than call plus plus. Now I require to basically print the data, right? So it will be printf %d with a space, that will be basically redefine this thing, and then comma, so AR1 row with a call, right? Now since this is a single statement, I didn't want to give basically basis, but then for after call becomes 3, it's going to come out from my inner loop. So I require basically, so it is going to print by so let's say so it's going to print row wise, right? So after each row I have to come to the next line, so I require to give a new line over here /n, right? And this thing actually printing array AR1 so I just require to duplicate this variable AR2, this is /n. I require a /n over here also, /n over here also, and this one will be AR2. So there is an error over here, okay. So I believe so. This is done. So let's see. Okay, so a dot out. So I have, so let's take for example 0, 0, 1, 1, then array 1 is 2, 3, 4, 2, 1, 6, 7. Okay, I don't require to basically go for all twos. So let's make it a 2 cross 2. That will make my life a little bit easier and less time consuming. So I require to just give an 8 numbers, right? So 4, 5, 2, 0, 8, this 6. Yeah. Right. So this is 4, 2, 8, and then the 6. And there is a 5, 1, 5, 1, 8, and 3. Okay. Any question here? So this is basically a simple array of basically just printing it. Okay. So if I'm to add it, So adding the two arrays, right? So I require to have something like this. So I just use this part. Right. So I just don't require to print it. So res row on column equals to row call plus year 2 call, right? So I can basically just do this stuff over here. I just require to copy result again. Control V. RES, right? Oh, yeah, it is RES. Okay. So this one will be RES. So I don't require this thing. So let's refine this whole thing again. So array 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Any questions here? Hello? Hello? Any question here?
No, sir.
Okay. Then for today, I'll just stop it over here only. Okay. Okay, today I'll stop it over here. Next day we'll get into the how to basically make basically next day we'll basically try to make functions of these two-dimensional arrays, right? So we'll make functions of the two-dimensional arrays, and next day we'll also get into basically how to make dynamic arrays, right? So that is also something we'll get into. Okay, do you have any questions still here? Any questions? So just to basically change this, if you want to play with this game, you can just basically change these two values. Okay. Yeah.
Sir, if we have any doubt while doing the assignment, can we WhatsApp you?
You can mail me out.
Okay, sir.
Don't WhatsApp me. Give me a mail. Okay, that becomes much more easier for me to answer.
Okay, sir.
Because I do not check my WhatsApp always, but I do check my mail always. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.